Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about types of communication. So let's see what are the types of communication. So the types of communication are intrapersonal communication, interpersonal communication, group communication, mass line communication, interactive communication. So let's understand each of these types of communication in detail. Intrapersonal communication is communication with oneself. When we talk to our own self, that is self talk to conscious to subconscious level. For example, reflection, contemplation, and meditation. Intrapersonal communication is for clarifying ideas or analyzing a situation. And these are three aspects of intrapersonal communication: self concept, perception, expectation. Self concept has these three beliefs, which is basic personal orientation towards what is true or false, good or bad. Beliefs can be descriptive. Values are deep rooted orientation and ideas, generally based on and consistent with beliefs about what is right or wrong, ideas or actions. Attitudes are learned predisposition towards or against a topic, ideas that stem from and generally are consistent with values. Attitudes are often global, typically emotional. Perception is how you perceive the world, and expectations are future oriented messages dealing with long term goals. Sometimes these are projections of learned relationships within family or society. So yes, these are three aspects of intrapersonal communication. So, what are the types of intrapersonal communication? Discourse, solo vocal communication, solo writing communication. An example of discourse is thinking, analyzing, concentrating. Example of solo vocal communication is to rehearse, to clarify thinking, which is same as discourse, but this is something which you are talking loudly. This is which you are thinking internally. Solo written communication, which is writing a diary. So yes, you pen down your thoughts. So these are the types of intrapersonal communication. Why we are highlighting intra? Because the next one is interpersonal. So we need to be very much very much focused or aware, or like we should know what is inter or intra. So while during exams or while having a conversation, one must know what we are talking about, inter or intra. So pay attention there. Interpersonal communication or face to face communication is face to face communication between two people without intervention of technology. For example, when two people are sitting at a coffee table, they are discussing, say, life or ideas. They are communicating with each other without using technology. They are not sitting at their own chairs, texting each other. They are not using, they're exchanging words and ideas and thoughts. So it is very personal, it is direct, and it is intimate. So while they're exchanging words and thoughts, it's not just about words and thoughts, it's about body language. It is about understanding body odor, physical characteristics, and even clothes. So these are three stages of interpersonal communication. First, fatigue stage. Warming up time, exchanging of greetings. For example, hi, nice to meet you. This might happen at a very early stage when you are making a friend, when you are talking to a stranger. Second is personal stage, discussing about personal matters such as family, profession, health problem. These can happen with colleagues, your friends. And intimate state, which is very much reserved for relatives, close friends, a stage where social barrier falls, exchange of innermost thoughts and feelings. So these are the three stages of interpersonal communication. I am very sure everyone who is listening right now has experienced these three stages of interpersonal communication. When we are communicating with someone else, when we are doing interpersonal communication, by default we are exchanging our ideas and experiences, which will result in cultural differences. So, for example, one of the most interesting examples which I have found is in most countries, sticking out your tongue would be considered a bit rude, but in Tibet, it's a way of greeting. So, this is just an example which I found very interesting. You might also find cultural differences in interpersonal communication when you are having a conversation with a foreign person or community. So you probably have experienced such differences in day to day life. The third type of communication is group communication. Group communication is when more than two people are communicating. Communication collectively to achieve a common goal. So what happens in group communication is when there are more than two or three or four people, and each one in a group has their own ideas, belief system and everything, and they are working towards achieving a common goal, a common task. But the participation becomes very problematic. A has some opinion, B has some opinion, C has some opinion, and rest of all of them has some kind of opinion. And while they are sharing this communication, it becomes very time consuming. It is not so persuasive because everyone has their own ideas, and decision making process becomes very difficult. But group discussions and communications are very much necessary. This can be seen in theater performance, dance performance, business meeting, class discussion. So these are very much necessary because it has a common goal. It has unity. It has some cooperation and connection to achieve a common goal. So group communication is very much necessary. The fourth type of communication is mass communication. When group communication is extended by the tools of mass communication, that is by books, radio, television, social media, etc., is called mass communication. In traditional ways, in traditional mass media, it is folk dance, folk songs, and theater. So, mass communication is communication for the masses. It is very much structured. The flow of message is very much structured because it is for everyone to create awareness, to get their opinion, to spread a message, and getting their feedback as well. The fifth type of communication is mass line communication. Mass line is the political, organizational, and leadership method developed by Mao Zedong and Chinese Communist Party. Mass line communication is about consulting the masses, interpreting their suggestions, and then enforcing the resulting policies and ideas. Mahatma Gandhi too employed a similar type of communication in order to understand citizens and farmers to gain independence. Mass line communication can be said as grassroots level communication which helps in developmental efforts. We can say mass line communication is bottom to up approach in order to understand ideas and suggestions. So, finally, the sixth type of communication is interactive communication, that is, communication via new media or internet, such as phones, social media, text messages, animation, computer games, human computer interfaces, interactive computer installation, website, etc. For example, Amazon Alexa, bots, Meta's metaverse, etc. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you find it interesting and useful. Subscribe to get more such videos and have a very good day. Thank you.